Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Story Break, a writer's room podcast where three Hollywood pros have just 1 hour to turn a humble idea into a cinematic masterpiece. Will we succeed? Will we fall flat on our faces? And will we ever get paid for any of these ideas? Well, I sure hope so. I am your host and minor internet celebrity director, Freddie Wong.
I'm Will Campos. I'm a writer.
Very good.
I'm Matt Arnold, friend first, writer-director second.
That's how I think of you, Matt, for sure.
Exactly.
We got a good one this week. A couple people in the forums sent this along, and on Twitter, Aced Option was where I saw it first, at Aced Option, which is this. Today, right now, for the next hour, the story of Where's Waldo? Why is he hiding? Why are we looking for him? Gentlemen, the clock begins now.
Dun, dun, dun,
So,
dun.
yeah, we talked about this just a split second before here, and I just Wikipedia'd this. Do you know it's Where's Wally?
Sorry,
What?
It's Where's Wally, and it was...
Shut what?
Yep, Where's Wally? And then it was... looks like for certain international editions, it was called Waldo in the United States and Canada.
Oh, so it's British originally.
Yeah, it's called Where's Wally.
I'm not okay with
This
that.
is the most British thing ever. That
We've got to find Wally.
That Where's Waldo is called Where's Wally across the pond.
Well, first things first, check the tea shop, see if he's
So-
getting a spot cuppa.
So the
Spot
characters...
cuppa on the telly.
On the telly.
Where's Wally on the telly
Look
across
at him,
the
he's on
pond?
the lift.
Spot a tiger.
Oh, God. Okay.
All right.
So the characters...
Oh, look at that. I just
trying
saw
to
the
decide if
international audience just all gone.
I'm trying to decide if it's Wally or Waldo.
It's Waldo.
The characters are Wally, Wilma, Winda, Oddlaw,
Are they
Wolf,
all W's?
Wizard, Whitebeard, and the Wally Watchers. That's the thing. It's like Wally Watchers is a better name than Waldo Watchers.
Wally Watcher.
Wally Watchers
Is his name Wally Watchers?
No, Wally Watchers are Wally's devoted fan club that first appeared in Where's Wally, the Ultimate Fun Book. They turned
That's
up
too
whenever.
meta.
Let's back up for just a second. In case you have been living under a rock and have never been a kid in a doctor's waiting room, Where's Waldo is a British series of children's books created by the English illustrator Martin Hanford. The book consists of a series of detailed double-page spread illustrations depicting dozens or more people. So basically, you're looking at a big tableau of a big crowd of people doing goofy stuff, and then you're looking for this guy named Waldo in that picture.
Yep.
And Waldo has a striped white and red shirt, goofy glasses, a dorky grin. He's got a little knit cap and blue pants and a cane.
Yep.
Okay, so real quick, just by the way, just top of my head, first thing is like international crime thriller, and they're hunting for him like Bin Laden.
Oh, like
Whoa.
a Jason Bourne type thing?
Well, so there was, really quick, there was a Where's Waldo animated series. I just want to see what angle they took here.
It's just
Which
still
was-
photos and soothing music.
The
and
show
kids.
follows the adventures of Wally or Waldo and his dog Woof, who are already established stars in Where's Waldo. Brought the gangly man in morning TV. The cartoon went beyond the book's original concept, giving them death and giving them reasons for their adventures. I would hope so.
Wait, did you say? Oh, I thought you said giving them death.
Giving them death.
We present to you Waldo, the immortal man,
so we
finally.
had-
Death.
Okay, so with the help of his magic walking stick, Wally
What?
Waldo could travel through space and time or travel to far-off magical lands, often sent by Wizard Whitebeard to help solve a puzzle or mysteries.
It feels a little Carmen Sandiego-esque with his magical ability to just constantly be places.
I feel like
you know?
Waldo
Oh,
is the
here-
MacGuffin
Guys,
in this movie.
we're boned by the our more successful doppelgangers who've already taken over Hollywood. On March 9th, 2016,
Whoa.
a date that shall live in infamy. Deadline reported that Seth Rogen and Evan Goldberg are in talks to produce the film with their producing partner James Weaver.
We just gotta
shit.
scoop these motherfuckers.
We are so lucky that Seth Rogen and Evan Goldberg and their producing partner haven't decided to do this exact podcast.
We're trying to
Where's
be better
Waldo?
at like the movie, especially at the timeline, especially after Sonic was like 15 minutes before we
I
even.
was jacking our Joes.
So like,
Okay.
let's do 15 minutes. Let's settle
How
on
many
what
minutes
type
are we
of
in,
movie.
Freddie?
We're 5 minutes in here, and we
Okay,
just
we're
looked at
done with
Wiki.
the yickety yak.
Yes, let's try to come up with what type of movie this is. I
It
feel
feels like Wally's on the run.
Absolutely, yeah. There's the
I
crime
don't-
element.
Yeah, I don't know if it's like a gritty or anything like that, but it definitely feels like someone's looking for Wally,
Yeah.
right?
And it needs to be globe-trotting. It needs to be international. We need to get some good shots in all the good tax havens around
And
the
we
world.
know that this all builds up to a moment similar to Minority Report, where like the bad guys or the good guys like go on top of a bridge and look out over like a carnival.
Yes.
And they're like,
Yes.
and they're
Where's
looking
Waldo?
for him, and you build up to that moment, and you're like, holy shit, they did it.
And then Waldo goes, "I'm right behind you in your office."
You look tired, Sue.
There we go.
Thank you, Moby.
Get some sleep, wizard. You look tired.
Okay. So I think the basic question is first, is this like Lady Vanishes, meaning like is Waldo the MacGuffin that they are looking for in this Hitchcockian
Or are we
thriller?
with him at
or
all?
are we with him and he's on the run?
Oh.
Because you could go either way. It could be like, where's Waldo? And he is like...
And by the way, quick side note, I don't know if you guys are... Will, as
Yes.
a chess man, you've definitely watched this movie. Do you remember Searching for Bobby Fischer?
I never saw Searching for Bobby Fischer.
So I'll just... Let me just...
I don't play chess and I have seen it.
Quick spoiler alert. It's not a movie where they actually ever find fucking Bobby Fischer. It's just a chess movie about a kid who plays chess.
Well, yeah, it's like a
Searching
metaphor.
for
It's about-
Wally Watcher.
I was hoping... I know, it's a metaphor, but I mean, like, I was hoping it would be more literal, and my chess playing like stuff, I was like, whoa, a cool chess movie where they're going to have to like find this like crazy chess guy? Like, nope,
It's like that powerful
not at
documentary.
all.
What was that one? Superman, like the one about the public school system. It's like that. It's like, anyways, we're not
Oh
making
my
Bobby
god!
Fischer.
Okay, I do want to
Okay.
point out, because I'm looking at these other characters, that Oddlaw is Wally's nemesis, who is an evil Wally doppelganger.
Okay, there is something.
So
interesting
that's
there. And by the way,
interesting
real
to
quick,
me.
Oddlaw Waldo spelled backwards.
Yes. So Wilma is Wally's friend. We've got Woof, his loyal companion dog.
Well, so real quick, just in my head, I'm feeling like it's like a fun, no, not fun, but like a family movie where it's like, is he like a deadbeat dad, and it's like his kids are looking for him? It's like, where'd our dad
no,
go?
I don't think that's what it is.
Okay, he's got cane. I don't
It's
know
his
why I bring
magical
that up.
walking stick.
Well, according to the card,
Okay, so real quick, is the same?
are we adapting
see
the book or
wizards.
the animated series?
I just want to point out, we see wizards. Is there magic in this world?
Well, the
Sure.
wizard is from.
No, it's in the book.
Okay,
In the
no, it's
book.
in the book.
Okay. I'm putting my laptop
Yeah.
away. We're Freddie. You can be the lore master.
Yeah,
here. I'm just trying to go back to my childhood. I remember the fun of looking at the books. You're like exploring the pictures, and then you're like searching for Waldo.
Like the pictures
Waldo
themselves are
has
almost
this
as
sort of
fun. They're big, like they're always like these fantastical. It's like the,
All right,
the
I'm
coolest
gonna-
carnival you've ever seen, or
Like,
the coolest
like a Jacques
beach.
Tati, like
Yeah,
right? Like
yeah.
it feels like you want to do a Jacques Tati
I'm
style.
going to
type of-
throw one idea out
Yeah.
there, and this is our backup idea in
Okay.
case we can't
Okay.
do it.
Okay.
But it's first of all, I feel very much that this movie is in IMAX, and that is something that
Yeah,
we're
yeah, yeah.
going
I'm
Oh,
to
for
obsessed
sure.
with. I'm obsessed with this being Jacques Tati now.
like a playtime style. Yeah.
But no, my idea was basically it's like Baraka or something like that. It's just these. You start with these gigantic images, and then you just slowly zoom in over the course, and it's in 3D too. And you just slowly zoom in over the course of 15 minutes each until you've centered on Waldo.
And by the way, each one is like various like gatherings of humans. So it's the people circling the stone in Mecca. Like
Okay,
it's
that
like
is very good. Is that
Yeah.
you would get somebody as Waldo, and you go to incredible human experiences,
Yeah.
like the pilgrimage to Mecca, and you just place them
The
there,
Wailing Wall.
and you do. Okay, so let's just say this is the shortest story break ever. That is absolutely the movie you do, and it is incredible. It's artistic. It is $50 million, and it takes 10 years for us to film.
oh yeah,
And-
we will circumnavigate the globe
Yeah.
8 times in the course of filming.
Okay, so
Where
now
is Waldo?
everything
And
you're
then the
hearing
climax is. Do you remember, like, there was the hardest page of Waldo it was 9 gajillion Waldos, and there was only one real Waldo. And
he
then
had
you
all the
get
pieces.
9
Oh.
zillion actors to all stand there as well, and they're all of different genders and faces and ethnicities, and it's like we are all Waldo, we are all the same, we are all together, we are all just
you know how that one
spinning
goes?
around this
You know how the
crazy,
real
You know how that
this
one
crazy
goes? And
world
real quick,
ourselves.
you know how that one goes? Is that one doesn't zoom in? That
It
starts
zooms
on
out!
one and zooms all the way until it encompasses the entire world. It's the longest single shot you've ever done. To start 100 feet in the air and it ends in the fucking stratosphere.
Actually, I really like the idea of starting in space and
Doing
slowly
like-
zooming down to Waldo, like sitting somewhere. And I was gonna say,
The power,
the ending.
like the power of. Do you remember the power of 10, where it's
Yeah,
like you
yeah,
start on
exactly.
the mic on like that little guy and you just zoom out and zoom out. You just do that, but it's like you go all the way out of like an atom, and then it's Waldo, and then it's like more Waldos, and then you keep going until it's the universe. But then the universe becomes his eye again. Like it's like one of those.
I was gonna say
don't
the
know.
last thing you do is like the movie premiere of the movie. So it's all the people lined up on the red carpet, and this time it's Waldo very clearly by himself on the red carpet, and that's the last shot. It's just this lonely Waldo isolated from the rest of the world as he goes to this movie about.
All
him.
right, so we've done.
Okay, the rest of this is a bonus episode because we
Waldo.
just crushed this.
Waldo, the
It's
IMAX
Baraka.
cinematic
Okay.
humanistic experience, right? It's like this.
Terrence Malick's Waldo.
This is like one of those trailers that starts with like 18 different like cinema raves
Oh, with the
of
little
awards
laurels
that
just
it's
Are
won.
you
Just
kidding?
like,
That trailer would just be huge images of just people like as oceans,
what's
and
that
then
one
the
song?
end would just say.
Yeah, that one song that's used in
No,
all those trailers
no
all
one
the
knows
time.
what any
Oh
of
my
that was.
god!
All right,
now
anyway, all right.
But I will say we're gonna make this trailer because it's going to be just big images, and then it just ends with "Where's Waldo?" And like the whole time you're watching the trailer, like, what is this movie? And it goes "Where's Waldo?" and the audience flips out. Okay,
All right, now onto the fucking Goofy Kids movie where he's got a magical walking stick.
Down to the one that will get us paid.
Yeah.
So
this is the one you make so that you get to make the other one. This is the flags of our fathers to the letters of Iwo Jima that is the Wally Baraka experience.
Okay, I was going to say something. Oh, Jacques Tati. Okay, I mean this is still a
Playtime, which is
yeah. I do like
explain. I'm a Jacques Tati noob, so lay it on me.
So Jacques Tati. So I mean the best probably what you have seen is a lot of people called the first 30 minutes of Wall-E very Jacques Tati. Mm-hmm. So Jacques Tati was during the sound era, but he essentially did more or less almost silent-esque movies, but they are like very big like tapestries. The images are like tapestries that are very well observed, and Jacques Tati is kind of this like wandering oaf in the middle of them. And as the movies go on, he becomes less. It's almost similar to Man with No Name, where like he becomes less the main character as the movies go on. Like Fistful of Dollars, it's Man with No Name. By the third one, there's also it's like
Tuco's
almost the main character and stuff like that. Yeah. But Playtime is essentially just
which if you are ever in a city that has Playtime in 70 millimeter, it is one of the few movies that's like you do not get everything in a DVD or Blu-ray form.
Well, it's hard to because it's kind of similar to Brock because like the one that did the most popular was Mr. Hulot's Holiday, which is essentially just like images of people on holiday at a beach resort, and Jacques Tati plays Mr. Los, who's one of those people, and he just wanders in and out of people's goofy little experiences. Like one kid is like running around and you think he'd be dropping his ice cream, but he doesn't, and then another kid drops his ice cream really quickly and cries. And it's all just these like little observed moments, and that's the whole movie. So it's pretty hard to be like break the story of that.
It is like people watching in the most beautiful cinematic way.
So
it's really cool stuff.
Okay, but it is what entices me about saying Jacques Tati is presenting Waldo as this kind of like aloof character, like again, which makes it feel like he would be the MacGuffin of sorts, rather.
Yeah, and I want to throw this too. Like all of these movies that he did, it wasn't just like here's a bunch of French, scenes. It was always trying to comment on either modern age. It was like I'm reading here. They're talking about like it's like modern society and French social classes, and like you're talking about like space age technology and stuff, and how that's kind of this weird foreign thing in the world, which is kind of an interesting. You always had the social take.
Well,
on it.
Okay, I have a thought. Just literally the first thing that just popped in my head is that movie, The Mothman Prophecies.
Sorry, I did not. What is this one?
That would have been the last movie in the world.
The Mothman Prophecies is like this fucking Mothman shows up and you see him in like old photographs right before disasters happened, and then Richard Gere's trying to find out the truth, right? So it's like it would be like 9/11, and oh my god, there's the Mothman in the photo, like, or whatever, like 2 minutes before 9/11 or whatever. I like what I'm intrigued by, if I remember the character. I like the idea of these the Waldo Watchers. Are these people that are looking for Waldo, that are in his fan club, right? And then you have this wizard, right? And so, like, my thought is, like, you can find him in photo, and I was like, you can find him in photos of the pyramids being made, and then you're like,
let's
which gives you 2 questions. Why is he in that photo, and who took this photo?
Can I suggest? Okay, something's kind of coming to me. Can I suggest looking at Waldo as a character? If I was to think about it, like, right, what I like is his costume is clearly eccentric, to say the least, right? Even though like it is simply, but it's weird and it's like iconic. Like nobody wears red and white broad stripes like that, and then like a beanie type hat and a cane. So he's clearly like this, like he's living life his own way. And what's weird is that he is unique in the pictures. Like there's nobody that looks like him except for people who are trying to look like him, and he disappears. So there's this like sense of like, I don't know, I'm trying to think of like an eccentric uncle or like a grandfather, like somebody who's like who like wants to explore the world and like...
Oh, could you do maybe like a bumbling tourist, Mr. Magoo type thing?
So yeah, and I was trying to think like, are the main characters then like... The kids are trying to find him. And again, it's like the lesson, ultimately, like the journey to search for him essentially proves his point. Like the 2 people, like it's a shitty version.
Journey versus destination.
Right. If this was like a grandfather and this was 2 adults, right? It would be like these 2 adults, like this grandfather used to be the eccentric grandfather that would take them all these places. And now they've grown up and they have 9-to-5 jobs, and like their marriage is kind of rocky and they're just not having fun in life anymore. Just bear with me. And then it'd be like the grandfather, Waldo, flees, and like, where the hell is Waldo? And they go on this adventure to find him, and they just keep going from place to place to find him. And sure enough, the journey of trying to find him is exactly what he's trying to teach him in the first place, which is to like let loose and go explore the world or whatever.
Go see things.
See things. But anyways, it's not that. But I'm trying to figure out like what you're trying to get, because I definitely think like globetrotting and kind of going to these great environments and situations and seeing, wonderful sights.
Adventure.
Yeah.
You're looking for Waldo, but in the process of looking for Waldo,
they're more fun almost.
it's not that they're more fun.
Yeah.
You notice all of these little details you
Yes.
didn't notice at first glance. By the act of searching for someone, you're also encountering all of these things.
Yeah.
These wonderful little vignettes. And again, you see all the silly stuff in the photo and you get lost in it, right?
Yeah.
And so it is like you are appreciating. Again, at first glance, you just look at this big scene, you're like, oh, it's a bunch of people at the beach.
Yeah.
And then where's Waldo? Oh, I gotta find Waldo. But then as you're looking for Waldo, you're like, oh, look at those two kids playing. Look at that. What is that? Is that a monkey on a surfboard?
Yep.
Like you're doing that whole. You're doing
Well, I
that whole
remember
thing.
as a kid, like where Waldo is after you've looked through the book, and we'd still just obsessively
pour
look at
over
those
the
books
pictures.
because I just
Yeah,
look
yeah.
over the pictures, and you're just like, it's a tapestry of unique little weird.
And it's all about, so thematically, it's a story about opening your eyes to the world, like
Yes.
opening your eyes to life.
Yeah.
I like that a lot.
So it's like a Mary. So if you were to do it with because he looks younger, right?
Yeah,
Waldo
yeah.
looks younger, so it's almost like a Mary Poppins. You almost see him as like a Mary Poppins-esque character, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like somebody again. If the purpose of the book is, I feel like it's okay to apply that to the purpose of Waldo as a character, which is Waldo's going to teach whoever is going to be.
So it still feels like Waldo is not the main character. in that.
He's an object.
He's not the
that
one who
they're-
goes through the arc. He's the one
Right.
teaching the lessons. If he's the
Yeah.
Mary Poppins.
So we are at just over 45 minutes in. We nailed an IMAX award.
We've been doing this for
No,
45 minutes?
sorry. We have 45 minutes remaining.
God, Freddie scared the shit out of me. I was like,
Yes,
we've been
I'm-
talking for 45
Yes, I'm
minutes.
bending the
We all
concept of
just
time.
black out. Okay.
Today's
all
a
right.
solar eclipse. Time has no meaning today, everybody. We've come up with a award-winning Terrence Malick-esque like meditation on humanity as a whole, which, by the way, is solid as far as I'm concerned. We've dunked on this, and now we're exploring what a more heartwarming, narrative-driven, sellable movie is. And so you're thinking. So Matt, just to be clear,
I think the inciting incident, right? The end of Act 1, or like the inciting incident is gonna be like, where's Waldo?
he disappears,
Like,
right.
Where did Waldo go?
So, okay, yes, I like that. And he goes all over the place and all over time, too. I mean, there's
Yeah.
one on the Trojan War.
Oh, so you want to do like a time, like maybe he's an eccentric inventor.
One
and-
thing I am intrigued by is the idea that the walking stick is a magic walking stick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I'm also intrigued by this wizard.
You really are.
Wizard Whitebeard.
Wizard Whitebeard. And maybe I'm like, Wally's this dopey bumbling tourist, and then again it's like London brawling, right? You
He
remember London
finds,
brawling? You collide
Yeah,
with the
yeah,
guy,
yeah.
and then your umbrellas get switched. Maybe his stick is the same as the wizard's staff, and like the wizard's staff is what allows him to travel all over the universe or something like that. And then Wally is now like just walking around with it, hopping from place to place.
Okay, so it's like a little like one ring type thing. Like if he's like a Bilbo, it's like when Waldo picks up his walking stick and disappears for months at a time, it's because he goes on these time traveling cosmic adventures. Like he can go to look at the
Let's pull the
Colosseum.
trigger. I want to pull the trigger on something right now because I don't
Sorry.
want us to get stuck in like, it could be this, it could be that, it could be this.
Yeah.
Is Waldo the main character who goes through the arc, or is Waldo the sort of modifier character who the other person learns? Is he Jack Sparrow or is he Will Turner, so to speak?
I feel like he's Jack Sparrow.
Yeah,
Okay.
I
That's
agree
my
with that.
instinct. I just
agree
don't
with
see
that.
him as very.
Okay, then what I want to hone in on is, who is looking for Waldo?
Yes, I mean that's you answer that. You've pretty much.
You've got a movie. You're starting to.
I was
get
gonna
a
say you've like solved the meaning of life. Like
movie.
where's
no,
Waldo?
blown out your ass.
Where is Waldo?
Nobody ever asked.
Who is looking for Waldo?
Yes.
Is it someone looking? And again, I'm just like
It's somebody who needs to
and
open
why,
their eyes.
And why?
Yes.
Right.
Well, I like the way you said it, which is I like what you said when you say that looking for Waldo is as much about opening your eyes up to everything in there, not just Waldo. Like in the process of looking for Waldo, you end up seeing all these beautiful and detailed and nuanced elements of the world you never noticed before. Like if there was just a picture, if there was just these pictures and they didn't say look for Waldo, you'd be like, oh, that's a cool picture, and then you'd probably look away from it. But because you're staring at it so intently looking for Waldo, you start seeing all these again.
Okay. I'm gonna.
detailed stuff.
All right. I'm having a thought.
Okay.
This is like I keep thinking of The Secret Life of Walter Mitty, but
Yeah, I was trying to think of a non-shitty version. Of those
okay,
type of movies.
but bear with me. Your main character, again, it's like, I feel like in a Hollywood movie, it's always an accountant or a claims
Yeah.
adjuster, and I'm always like, fuck you, those people have fulfilled lives, right? Like, it's just like, he's a soulless piece of shit who doesn't make art like I do.
I'm a
Guys like-
screenwriter at Intelligentsia. I'm going to write about how accountants have such shitty lives.
Yeah, literally.
And-
I just,
Anyway.
by the way, real quick, I just imagine guys be like, just because I use Excel doesn't mean I can't have fun, guys.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So, but at any rate, Wally is this again, not Wally. You have your main character is this person who is again stuck in their life that is just looking at their screen all the time. That's blah 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 blah, and then they find their old Where's Waldo book from when they were a kid, and they're looking through and they're having like a flash down memory lane. It would be like this person sees Waldo. They start seeing Waldo places. And then they're like, what the fuck is going on?
Okay.
And then someone like, you're eccentric. Who's the author? Like, remember Jack Black as R.L. Stein in Goosebumps?
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
you would have someone shows up as Martin Hanford, and Martin Hanford's like, no, dude, Waldo's fucking real as shit. That's what I've been trying to tell you all along. And everyone's like, oh my God. And he's like, it's like, there's, again, I've got these, I found these, these paintings from like, again, like, he's on, you remember that cave from the Werner Herzog movie, like with the buffaloes? There's fucking Waldo. And like, he's all over the place if you have to open your eyes to look for him, right? So your main character, stumbles into this sort of secret society, the Waldo Watchers, who are looking for this mysterious man, and they're like, who is he? What is he? Like, if we could just find him, like, clearly, like, the secret to the universe is right there for us, right?
He's been
and
timeless.
So
He's
your
been
main
around.
character gets swept up in this globe-trotting, like, mystery, like, he becomes obsessed with finding Waldo, but then again, like, the climax essentially is the realization, like, Waldo, like, whoever Waldo is, we don't know, but he's there he's trying to get us to notice the beauty of the world around us. That's why he shows up, is to like, for people who are stuck in their lives, who are stuck looking at the screen, to get them to look up and stop and smell the roses for a second. Maybe there's even a legend about Waldo, like if you catch Waldo, he'll grant you a wish or something like that. I don't know.
Well,
Like he's this mystical, like magical figure throughout history that has like always been there.
I don't say this lightly, Will. You just crushed 2 movies in a row. In like 10 minutes. Okay. Yeah, because that also explains like how did he do the Colosseum and stuff. Is that Waldo is this figure that's been throughout all of history.
Yeah,
and the author, and I like kind of like R.L. Stein's Goosebumps, like making Jack Black the author. I like the idea that this author has just been trying to tell people like. Waldo's real, and we're all trying to like, who is this Doctor-esque figure who just seems to be in history all the time?
By the way, I love the idea that like the various iterations of him, it's like he's had some version of like that striped like shirt, so it's like a tunic in like Roman times, but it's like
no, it's always that's what's the enigma of it is it's always
the exact same.
It's the same outfit. And
would it be
like,
something like at
again like you like, and then the guy starts seeing everywhere like he looks at a dollar bill and he's like, oh my God, if you zoom in hard enough, he's behind that pyramid with the floating eye. I don't know.
Okay, would it be something? This is so dumb, but would it be something like then the answer of where's Waldo is obviously Waldo's you, and it'd be like
he becomes Waldo at the end.
Like
I am become Waldo.
Every once in a while, like these, like once you realize that secret, it's like wait, like there needs to be somebody who gives mystery to the world. And he puts on the Waldo outfit, and you see him like in like a big carnival, and he looks and he sees somebody who notices him, and he winks, and then like as somebody crosses past, it disappears.
He disappears.
And this guy's like, and he's giving that mystery to somebody else, like he's passing it on essentially. Yeah. And the idea is just like these people who are trying to tell people like, look closer in the world, like pay attention.
Pay attention. No, look at all the beautiful things. Look
Yeah.
because again, like he finally catches Waldo, and
Yeah.
it would be I don't know what the scene is like.
Me.
But it's like, look at all the beauty in the world
Yeah.
that you experience because you chased after me. Like,
Yeah.
look at the wonder, look at all the amazing people you met along the way. Do you know what I mean?
So who's this main character, and why do they need to?
Okay, I have a thought.
Okay.
He is a reporter for a small town newspaper, or she is a reporter for a small town newspaper, and all they ever talk about is the fire hydrant went out at 3rd Street. Miss McGillicuddy's cat got stuck on the roof, and it's just bored and just trapped. Mm-hmm. I'm trying to because then it would be like I don't know, like a reporter. I get like okay, then they're like, this is don't you get it? This is the sensational story that I'm chasing down or whatever. Maybe not though. I don't know. A reporter's kind of an adventurous, curious person to begin with.
So the books are real in this world. Like there are real.
Yes. This is our world.
Where's Waldo books? Okay.
Yeah.
Is this like the Santa Claus? Like okay, like
okay, bear with me.
I'm trying to think like okay.
Yes, I see where you're going. No, go ahead. But I have a thought.
No, that's it. Because I was just trying to think about I'm trying to think because you like the wizard. I'm trying to decide like is there real magic in this essentially?
Okay, so something also struck me, which is that you could do if they were maybe a reporter or a photographer.
Yeah, photographer kind of is interesting because it's like they're finding these prints. And their stuff.
Again. But then my thought would be yes, that like your sort of inciting incident is she takes a picture. And then Waldo's in the picture, and then she's like, "Oh, there must be some goofball And then he's showing up in all of her pictures, and her newspaper editor's like, these pictures are trash. How fucking this Waldo cosplayer is punking you or something like that. Like, and she's trying to catch this guy, but then that's how she, and then the Waldo watchers contact her because they see her pictures.
Yeah.
And they're like, he's
You've
chosen
seen him
you.
too.
Like, oh my God. Like, he's like, you've seen him. You're one of us. Like, you gotta join this adventure.
So she's like this cynical person because I feel like she gets contacted by the Waldo watchers and she's like, cool, some idiot dressed up like Waldo, like what?
And you guys are obsessed.
You guys are goofballs, you guys suck. Essentially, like, cool. I got a bunch of like weirdos are contacting me now.
Yeah.
And little does she realize she's gonna become one of those weirdos.
I like that.
You could definitely do like an It Follows horror movie where it's just like he's getting closer and all
She
these
takes
pictures.
a selfie and Waldo's behind her in the selfie. Like, ah!
So I'm trying because it's very ambiguous because in the Wikipedia for just the book series, the way they describe the wizard is that he was responsible for sending Wally on a quest to discover the truth about himself.
Whoa, what?
Whoa, that's some heavy shit,
Like, I don't remember
dog.
where did that come from in the books. And then in the show, it says the magical wizard Whitebeard visits Waldo with one of his many magical scrolls, which he ends up losing.
Magical scrolls.
What like rolled blunt?
Yes, I was making a weed reference, Matt.
Okay, sweet, 420. Okay, while there are rumors stating that there is the father of, I don't know what he does. So but this
Forget
idea,
the wizard. I can't. I don't have time for both a magical Waldo and a wizard right now.
Well, I was just trying to think like, what does this Waldo do? If it is like Santa Claus has a very clear goal. Like every year he's got to deliver gifts to boys and girls.
Okay, fair enough.
The good boys and girls.
The
Matt.
good boys and girls, not
and,
the bad
and
ones.
cold
He
to
judges.
the bad ones.
He is
He's
God
a
on earth.
judgmental
He's
God.
God on earth.
He's a judgmental teleporting God that judges children.
Okay, but bear with me.
Yeah.
If you were going to do again, maybe she meets Waldo at
Yeah.
some point. Like it's the real deal. Like, and you have the scene. You would do Waldo was someone who was just like her, and then he sought wisdom or something like that, and then the wizard gave him his staff. And it was like this staff can take you anywhere.
Well, it's like the
right?
Werner Herzog thing where he's like, you must wander the earth until you achieve nirvana. You must wander
Yeah,
space and time, and
something
soon
like that,
the
essentially,
message will be
right?
revealed to you as you crawl.
And then
you know.
it would be part of Waldo's origin story, would be this meeting with this old wizard or whatever, who gave him the stick. And it's like this sort of, maybe it's, you get
Would the
Werner Herzog
pretentious
to play.
version of this be?
I think I know where you're going with this, but go ahead.
Waldo is a guy. He has some tragic backstory because you would find like she finds Winda. If she was an investigative reporter,
Yeah.
she'd be like, okay, who is this guy? Like there are people who are searching him. Who like there's clearly somebody in these photographs. There's this person. Like if I'm like ignoring any magical sense, if I'm just a reporter, I'm like there is a person who keeps showing up in pictures all around the world. Who is this weird guy? What's happening? And she would go and find like what's his backstory, like who is he? And if she found Wenda, it'd be his best friend or like sister, and like you'd find out like some tragic backstory. This guy went crazy or something, and he's off like searching. And she's like, I'm gonna find this guy, and she thinks like this is a nutter who's lost everything. And little do we know, like she'll realize like no, he's enlightened now. But like the story he gave, like if the story would be like there's a wizard that made me this, and then of course that doesn't end up being again like Life of Pi. It's like that's just the story he's crafted himself to survive this trauma that he's experienced or
I
something.
have a thought also on our main character.
Okay.
If you do again, you see this a lot, like the person who's like the cynical, like the hoax debunker, or the whatever, and like maybe she's again a reporter, but she did a story about people who believe in Bigfoot, adults who still believe in Santa Claus, right, like that kind of thing. And her whole thing is like magic isn't fucking real. The world is a boring, mundane place, and it's my job to she
won a Pulitzer for expose on flat earthers and Bigfoot.
She won a
watchers.
Pulitzer for the story that the world is not as magical as you think it is.
It's not the
like
wonderful place it was. And she has some sad thing in her childhood or whatever. That's how she gets into this Waldo thing. Because again, like one of her pictures has Waldo in it.
Yeah.
And then it's just, I like that it's fucking up her job, right? Like, and then like, it's like the editor editor's like, oh, your stupid photos have Waldo in them. Like, they're useless. And then, she gets contacted by the Waldo watchers, and she's like, oh my God, it's all these people who are obsessed with this kid's book and think Waldo's a real person. But then it's like, oh my God, like what the fuck is going on? Like, and she's starting to find out, like, like it's just kind of pulling at the things or whatever, the threads. She starts to believe in the magic. Like she starts to believe in it, but then your kind of midpoint would be a discovery of the seemingly mundane truth.
Yeah.
And the seemingly mundane truth is that all of the pictures of Waldo in the past are hoaxes.
Yeah.
That, like it was just some sad member of the Waldo Watchers who did it. to get everyone excited or whatever. And this guy ran away from his family, or like, he had some tragic thing happen and he retreated from the world or something like that.
Yeah.
But then there would be like, that seems like you're kind of like the sort of low point crisis kind of moment is that she kind of went, and I don't, it's like, but then there was like the arrival of like, again, like the actual, the magic of it, right?
Yeah.
Like that it's like, no, but he has this fucking magic. Like, but it's still, it's like Zodiac almost is the movie I'm thinking of. But it's still like, yeah, but even if all that's true, how was he in Cairo at 12:53
Yeah, exactly.
and then in Dallas I was literally going to say Marrakesh, and then I was like, like, are they that far from each other? But then
That's
how
not
is
too
he in
far,
this
yeah,
completely other part of the world only 2 seconds later?
Yeah.
Like, and it's the same guy. So it's still tormenting her. And it's like she has to confront the fact that she just doesn't know.
Yeah.
And then something, I don't know. Like, I'm trying to.
And it's like he almost has his point to her to almost be like, but whether or not it's magic or not, you believed it was for a moment, didn't you? Right? Like there's a time where you start thinking about it, and maybe he even gives it's like the blue pill, red pill thing at the end. It's like, do you want to know?
It's the red striped pill.
It's the red pill with white stripes and the white pill with red stripes.
Is Waldo? I'm trying to think. Like,
Just to update you, we are 30 minutes in.
just to reel back a little bit here, is Waldo really this like thing that shows the world is magical?
I don't know. Again, I want to get back
that's a
to
good
that.
point. Yeah.
I want to get back to that idea of think of the journey, right?
Yeah,
Like that it
yeah,
wasn't
exactly.
the destination, it was the journey. Think of all the amazing people you met,
Yeah.
all the places you went while you were chasing me.
Yes.
Right? Like that is the beauty of life, so to
Yeah.
speak. That, that to see everything, you have to look for something.
It's like the game. At the end, she jumps off a building for Waldo, and then she lands in a big airbag, and they're like, "Surprise! This was the Waldo experience." And now that because
So
of
there's
the
all
movie-
the viral marketing stuff for the Waldo movie you just watched.
Okay, I feel like this is a kids movie, right? Or a family movie, probably. Like,
Yeah, yeah, obviously.
realistically, like we're not doing
Yeah,
this.
yeah, no, this isn't a
Jessica
hard R
Chastain
gritty-
as the reporter who goes searching for this other 40-year-old man, right?
Fair enough.
Well, what I was gonna say is
It's
make
Jessica
it-
Chastain, and then she's torturing people to get the information on where Waldo is, and then the end is a daring nighttime raid on Waldo's compound with night
And then
vision.
everybody's like, the Pentagon didn't even say they tortured Waldo in the first place. So what does this movie have anything to do with? Okay,
And just her dropping Waldo off in the middle of the ocean.
all right,
very
all
good.
right.
I like it's a
getting weird
reporter. Just make this. It's a kid reporter.
Okay, at the
she's made
school
fun of
newspaper?
at school. Yeah,
Yeah.
because
okay.
Like I'm
Yeah,
trying to think of
yeah,
like, did you
yeah.
ever see North? Notoriously
North,
one of the
yeah,
worst
North.
movies of all time.
The book was pretty good, I thought.
Well, so but
Okay.
like the idea of a kid running from home on an adventure is a fun one. It's a pretty classic. I mean, it's like that's
it's a
children's
well-known
literature essentially.
plot. Yeah, for sure.
So
Okay.
something about this
Childhood's end.
Yes, it's going to be, and I feel like right. What's going to be better than her at school telling people that where's Waldo, who is for
For babies.
for
yeah.
first graders and
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
kindergartners, and she's in 6th or 7th grade, right? It's
But I like her
preview
having to
best
go
in.
to
It's-
her having to go to the school library to dig up the old Waldo books,
Yep,
like in the
exactly.
kids book section. Yeah,
And people are like-
and all her friends are reading fucking Hunger Games or whatever. They're
Twilight.
Like, Waldo, ew! I read about vampires.
Dude, have you read this book? It has the word fingering in it. And then they're looking, and she's like, and she's like looking at where's Waldo? And they're like, God, this nerd. So yeah, I like this idea. Like, yeah, she's not quite making the transition into adulthood or young adulthood very well, right? She's kind of hanging on, and and she's a good student, and she's the school reporter. She's on yearbook probably.
But here's my question. Is this a character who doesn't want to grow up, or is it a character who grew up too fast and doesn't want to be a kid again? Because originally the idea was like, this is someone who doesn't want to be a kid again. So that's my only thing with it being.
If it was somebody not wanting to grow up, what would that be? I definitely, so I don't, yeah, I'm trying to figure out, because I feel like this is definitely a kid and a buddy, right? Probably because not just one kid.
To me,
running up.
but bear
Yeah.
with me. Bear with me.
Yeah.
If this was, to me, like when I was, like the things that I regret about my childhood were when I was 10 and I said, Power Rangers, that's for fucking babies, right?
Yeah.
Like sometimes as a kid, you get that chip on your shoulder
Yeah.
about
It
other
happens-
kids.
and it happens
you're
at, like,
embarrassed
10,
about
11,
10,
right
11,
before,
right?
yep.
You're like, oh, that stuff's baby stuff. I like cool stuff.
Yeah.
So why don't you make that the main character? Why don't you make it's like it's the kid at school who wants to be a grown up.
She's 8th grade. She's worried about, she's in yearbook and all these extracurricular activities because, again, what's nice about 8th grade is that you've probably already gone into your high school, if you remember, like 8th grade-itis, senioritis. So if you're going to do an 8th grader, you could do high school, but I feel like younger is probably...
Yeah,
Because it feels like a more adventure. Yeah, because like it's a big risk for her to essentially, she's going to disappear and leave school, and you need something about like, again, you probably want an element of she's running away from her family life a little bit.
And I like that she wants to be a journalist.
Yes.
Because then I would do that again, like the high school she's going to has some journalism club.
Yeah.
That's like she really wants to join. It's like all the cool kids who
Yeah.
like are really woke on what the world's about, right? Like they really get it, right? Like, and she wants to be part of that. But again, she's taking these photos for her scoop story for the
Yeah.
thing, and Waldo keeps showing up in them, and she's like, God damn it, like I got like what the hell's going on? And then that's how she gets plunged into this mystery. And then
Yeah.
it's like, oh my God, I'm gonna catch Waldo. I'm gonna expose the hoaxer who's doing this, right?
Yeah.
Like I'm gonna find this prankster who's duping everybody. I'm gonna fucking nail him to the wall, and then by the end she's gone through this arc. And like you would do the low point for her would be like bringing her report to the newspaper, being like Waldo is real,
Yeah.
right? And they laugh her out of the room.
Oh, okay. If you did that, wait, do you have I'm assuming you have graduation. I'm just imagining she says the hoax is real. Everybody's laughing. I'm just imagining this moment. I don't know. She's a valedictorian, of course, and she's giving a speech, and Waldo's in the chairs of all the class members, and everybody gets to see Waldo. I'm just imagining everybody's laughing at her, and she does the lesson where she's like, and she's essentially saying it's like whether or not Waldo's real, like what is real is like, open your eyes, look at the world or whatnot like that, and then everybody
Don't be afraid to dream. Don't be afraid to believe in the impossible.
Yep, and then Waldo is sitting with all the kids right there, and they all turn and go, oh, Waldo's real, and they all stand.
No, I think in that moment, it's
Yeah.
she doesn't. I love the idea of her
Yeah.
giving a speech to the school,
Yeah.
and then Waldo's in the audience. I
Yeah.
think that's great, but I don't know if it's necessarily like then everyone sees Waldo.
Yeah.
Yeah, you do the thing where she looks and then he's like in the back and he like gives a little head nod and then disappears and she, as a tear rolls down her eye.
And then you
she
do the fade
finishes
to black,
speech.
and the little titles come up, and it says 4 years later she was diagnosed with.
She had a brain tumor.
Yeah.
Anyway, no, that's fucked up. We won't be doing that.
Okay, so yes, 8th grader who. Not a lot of friends. She's already too cool for kid stuff, essentially.
Yeah,
right?
kid who's over being a kid.
She's like the star, like the most athletic kid in school. She
And she
took a
wants
picture
to
of him.
belong to the journalism club at school,
Yeah,
right?
she took a picture of him like throwing trash like out of the trash can and took a picture and did a whole scoop on it. And the teacher's like, "Come on, like everybody's gonna hate you." She's like, "And what matters is the truth in journalism. I don't need to be popular. Popularity doesn't matter." And they're like, "Okay, like yeah, but like also like chill it for a second, like be a kid, like for a bit."
Okay, kid who's over being I'm just trying to get the basic. Like,
Yeah.
she wants to join this journalism club at her high school, right?
Yeah.
Where it's like the cool kids who are grown up, essentially, right?
There's definitely a version of this where it's like the librarian's the one who's like, you should look at these Where's Waldo's books again. And then like when she gets to the end, she finds Waldo and it's the librarian. And the moment she discovers it, police surround him because they're like, this guy is just like, I'm trying to think of like a non-creepy version of leading like young kids out of school to go on this like wild adventure.
Well, it needs to be their idea. That's
Yeah,
how
yeah,
you
yeah.
get around it.
So she's doing a piece for the it's her submission packet for the like a spec piece or something like that for the school journalism club for the newspaper.
Yeah.
Get onto the newspaper.
And she's taking a photo of the principal littering or whatever, or like the it's like every year someone visits the school dressed as Santa Claus, and she got a photo of them like getting into the costume or whatever.
Or she took a picture of like the school dance, and she wrote something like, "Look at this surging like group of hormonal like losers," or something like judgmental.
I kind of like the idea. I kind of like the idea that she was going to out the Easter Bunny or something
what
like
about
that.
the school
Like,
mascot?
the school mascot, or
It
yeah,
does
there's
something,
like,
right?
I
Like
don't know.
the
Maybe it's
magic or whatever.
2
Yeah.
1-to-1 with the Waldo thing, but Waldo's in the photo, right?
And is she the only one? Now, real quick,
So
is
she's-
she the only one seeing it, or is it everybody sees it?
They see it in the photo.
so
They're
it
like,
is
you're getting punked by a Waldo prankster.
Yeah, they're just like, but she's like, but who? Like, who is this guy? How did he get into? The only reason I was gonna like not school dance was like, who is this person? Like,
Yeah.
it's a small town. Like, I should be able to find out who this person is. And she starts going down this rabbit hole. She just wants to know who dressed up as Waldo at this like football game or whatever. she was at.
Or again, it could be, oh, you know what? Fuck it. Fuck it being she wants to get into the journalism club. She just joined the high school newspaper, right? Like, this is the big leagues. This is the fucking majors. This is like Clark Kent going to Metropolis.
so she's
She's like,
freshman in high
I'm on the
school.
high school newspaper as a freshman. I have to be mature. I have to be cool, right? And all of the journalism kids vape in the bullpen or whatever and talk about all their hardcore journalism stuff. And she hides being a little kid. The beginning would be her throwing out some
I like the fish out water.
childhood tchotchke, right? They all listen to Fleet Foxes, and she throws away her
Okay, so
Oh,
this
here
is
we go.
2008.
Let's hear it. Let's hear it. Name any band. Any band, Will. Let's hear it.
She throws away her Backstreet Boys CD because she's into vintage boy bands because it's the year 2016. I'm going to die
Imagine
someday.
Dragons, that's cool now, right?
No. It would be like, whatever. Shut up.
Don't try.
Wicked. She likes the Wicked soundtrack. And they're like, musicals are dumb. Throw that out. That's
Nice.
that's kid stuff.
Nice.
All right. So, okay, I like that. So, she just joined the
high school
journo club as a freshman, throws away some childhood thing to seem
Cool and hip.
mature to
High
the
school
older
newspaper.
kids. She is SpongeBob SquarePants. She's into SpongeBob SquarePants, and they make fun, and then she throws out her SpongeBob
Okay, so now
shit.
she hasn't grown up enough.
No. She's it's not that she hasn't grown up enough.
Yeah.
It's she feels a pressure to be mature.
Okay, I'm trying to figure out because just from
I don't know, maybe
where we were
SpongeBob
before.
SquarePants.
No,
is
I
too.
was just trying to
Okay.
figure from where we were before.
Okay, no, but it's still very much like she's trying to fit in with the
Yeah.
grown-ups, right? And then so she's taking photos,
And
probably to impress somebody, to impress the editor-in-chief, yeah.
who's a hot boy.
Or just a cool girl she admires, man. Fucking lean forward, Sheryl Sandberg. To impress.
Well, by the way, just to give you some idea of pacing here, we have 15
Yeah,
minutes
I'm
remaining.
aware, man. We're going to bring this one
Here's
around.
what I
Let's
like.
hear it. Let's
All
see
right,
it.
no, so anyway, now Waldo's in all the photos she's taking, and she looks dumb.
And you know what? They're probably even saying like, well, "Is this your brother or something? You staging this? You loser!"
Yeah, she looks like a goof. So now she's going to try to find out who's punking her photos, right? So she's reading the Wally. Goes back and reads the Waldo books.
It's kind of a leap, to be fair.
Naturally, this person's a Waldo fan. Who's the last person to check out the Waldo books in the library,
There
right?
you go. There you go.
And it just says Waldo. She's like, God damn it, fucking asshole.
This guy's got me at every
I
turn.
like she gets contacted by the Waldo Watchers, who are this secret society of people who chase Waldo around, and she finds out that Waldo's a whole big thing.
And
then
she's like, this is a great story. A bunch of weirdos that like
and it is-
Waldo.
and it is like a bunch of adult
oh my God, I'm going
weirdos.
to
Her sidekick would be a Waldo. There's a Waldo watcher at school.
Yes.
One of the kids is a Waldo watcher.
Yes.
Or their dad's super into it too, so it's like this weird cabal of like adults.
We do need to figure
and
out what
people
her,
from-
because again, I think the lesson for her is going to be she just got into high school and she's already like, what's my college? Like, what's this? Like, she's clearly going to be somebody that's about, she needs to
The
stop and smell the
destination,
roses.
right?
Stop
She's
and
about
smell
the
the roses,
destination. Yeah.
Dreams.
Okay, so there's a
of
Waldo watcher at
college.
school who's
Yeah, her
probably,
sidekick, who's a goofball. Yeah, it's this boy at school. You could even he's suspect number one to her because he dresses up like Waldo. Or like he has a bunch of Waldo. She's never seen him dress up like Waldo, but he's this spindly little kid with glasses. He has a bunch of Waldo shit in his locker, right? She's like, it's probably him. He's probably fucking with me. He probably has a crush on me or something like that. And of course he does. But like so she goes to find him. We're like, you fucking stalking me? And he's like, no. He's like, well, why is Waldo in my pictures? And he's like, oh my God.
Waldo's in your pictures.
Waldo's in your pictures. Come with me, right? Okay,
Yeah.
so
Wait till the guys see this.
Jeepers Creepers. All right, so she decides to do a story on the Waldo Watchers at school.
Yeah.
Right. So she decides to go along with them on this adventure. And she's going to expose all these nerdy
I
kids
was
in
going
her
to say
school.
the low point of the movie is she doesn't believe in Waldo anymore, and she releases a story, and it's about pathetic losers
Yeah.
who don't deal with the real world anymore, and they disappear back into a commentary. They disappear back in 80s nostalgia bullshit like Stranger Things or something. But this is a bunch of losers who still care about where's Waldo, and she makes fun of her partner.
Yeah.
and that's
I
like
thought
this,
we were friends.
Yeah, and it is like, and for her, she's like, you don't understand. It's a really nuanced portrayal of you.
Yeah.
though. Like it's like, no, you heard his feelings.
You said Waldo's not real.
Yeah, exactly. That's what Halsey's most upset about.
So how do we get globetrotting with this?
Okay, well maybe it's not globetrotting, but we'll see.
It's gotta be globetrotting.
All right,
bro.
all right. Just relax.
Waldo's not real.
All right, I think we're ready to do some Act 1, Act 2
Why
sort
do
of stuff, right?
losers
Yep. With
hang on to it?
with just over 10 minutes remaining, like, Will, why don't you run us through some basic
All right,
act
so
outlines?
Act 1, we introduce this kid who's over being a kid. She's just joined her high school
I'm just saying
journalism.
Amy. I just need a name. Sorry.
Okay. Amy is a kid who's over being a kid. She's made it into freshman year. She's the first freshman ever to make it onto the school journalism, the school newspaper as a photographer. She is feeling very nervous because all of a sudden she's hanging out with seniors and they're all super real deal people, and she feels like she's embarrassed of being a little kid. She throws out her SpongeBob SquarePants backpack in exchange for a nice messenger tote with an NPR messenger tote. She trades in her SpongeBob backpack.
She donates $5 a
for a KCRW tote bag signed by Raul Campos. All right, so she wants to impress the editor-in-chief, and she starts taking photos. She's like, her first beat is to cover the lacrosse game, and it's like, these photos are garbage, Waldo's in them. And she's like, what the fuck? And then she's like, someone's goofing on me.
These photos are garbage. But yeah, she sees Waldo in the crowd somewhere.
Yeah, so she sees Waldo in the crowd, and she realizes Waldo's in all of the photos she's taking, and she needs to get to the bottom of it. Like, that's your act one, essentially, right? Act two, initial investigation. She, looks into Waldo books in the library. She meets the Waldo impersonator. Act two is like, yeah, she looks into Waldo, right? So this is the initial investigation. She's like, oh yeah, I remember this. At first, she's forgotten about Waldo, so she's looking into the books. She realizes this boy at school is obsessed with Waldo. She's going to go confront him. He's like, are you stalking me? And he's like, what? I don't know what you're talking about. And she's like, Waldo's in my photos. And he goes, oh my God, Waldo's in your photos? Come with me. He reveals he's part of this secret club of sort of a secret society called the Waldo Watchers, who are obsessed with Waldo and think that Waldo's a real person who actually goes around the world. And the creator of the book said that this was based on real life. And like, it's our mission we've always been looking for Waldo.
Yeah,
and he's like, oh my God. And Waldo visits people, right? Like they like one of the running theories is that he only shows himself to certain people. He's
so
showing
lucky.
himself. You're so lucky. He's showing himself to you. So he brings her to the Waldo Watchers Society. And they're like, she's a hot lead. We can use her to find Waldo. And she goes along with this because
she wants to use
I'm
them.
going to be doing this story on them
About
as an
this
expose,
weird,
right? So
delusional
agrees.
losers.
So this girl agrees to help the Waldo Watchers find Waldo, but secretly she's going to do a story on them.
Yeah. And by the way, I like the idea that it's not just kids in there too. It's like people from all walks of life. It's like, I like the idea of expanding it out a little bit. So it's like there's some adults in there too. It's like these kooky weirdos in town.
So Act 3 is this is where it starts to get a little ambiguous to me. Act 3 is like her adventures with the Waldo Watchers, in whatever form that
The
takes.
reason it's ambiguous is we need to figure out what's her story. Like, what is she running from? What's ultimately her lesson? Because I feel like what the tragic Act 3 would be, she essentially gets undeniable proof. Like, she sees Waldo.
I think she does see him face to face.
And then she still writes the story because she can't handle it. And also, it's like she's already wrote this good story, and it's easier just to be like, you guys are a bunch of losers, and here's a great nuanced story about, like, the aging male and why he can't let go of nostalgia, or whatever weird NPR version she does of this story about guys who are still obsessed with Waldo. Right?
Yeah.
And it's like, how could you write that? Like, you
So
saw
her
Waldo.
dream, by the way, should be to get this on This American Life.
Yes, absolutely.
And then Ira Glass shows up as the mustachio twirling villain.
Or he is Waldo.
Ira Glass is...
What is her Waldo? What is she looking for? Like, what is going to be the thing that, like, what does she need to learn? Like, why, like, what is she ultimately, like, one, who is Waldo at the end? Then, like, what does that mean for her?
It needs to tie back to her personally in
Does she
some way.
not have,
Is it broken family?
Are her
Is
parents gone? Like, is her dad like a, VC guy who's gone all the time and super, like, do your fucking job? Is she over demanding parents? Like, are they gone? Like, what is her? I feel like this is going to definitely.
You want to tie
with-
it back in a satisfying
Well,
way.
yeah, like, what's her story?
Yeah.
What's Amy's story?
Yes. All right. Well, I know we're approaching our hour, so we're gonna need a little Hail Mary to get this across the boat.
Okay.
Again, we wanted this all to go back to. She's too focused on her future. She's not focused
Yes.
enough on the world around her. Right.
We're saying Waldo's real.
Waldo is real. Yes.
Okay. What is that at the end? Like, Mary Poppins was a real, like, actual, whatever, maid helper, and what she does is that she teaches the dad to spend more time with his kids. Like, it's really the story of Mary Poppins ends up really being more about the dad.
She needs to learn to enjoy her childhood. She needs to learn to enjoy being a kid. Like, it only comes once. You can't, and
Like,
you
stop
can't get
rushing
it back once it's gone.
and stop
You know what I
rushing
mean?
to
stop rushing
get to the
towards your future
future.
and enjoy your present. And that would be like Waldo's thing would be all about, like, that was his mistake, and now
Yeah.
like he's wandering the world trying to keep other people from, I don't know, or something like that. Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, and it's not even just about, not just childhood, like, just enjoy life or something.
Yeah,
Like,
enjoy the moment. Mindfulness.
Yeah, live in the
essentially.
moment,
Live
yeah.
in the moment. What do these Waldo Watchers do? Like, what do they... Okay, so, like, he's showing up in her photos. She's learning about them, obviously.
Yeah.
They're going to need to go do something.
Yeah.
They want to go find Waldo,
Yeah.
right? And there's got to be some... It's like they figure out some pattern, so they figure out where he's going to show up next.
Yeah.
It would have to be something like that.
Like they're trying to catch him, maybe like a Bigfoot sort of thing, and then like they cage him up, and then she's like, "This is stupid. You guys are caging up a human being.
I'm trying to
Like,
think,
I'm letting him go." Like, no.
What is the answer of who is Waldo at the end?
Who is Waldo?
Who is the answer? Is it literally just a magical dude?
It would be this guy, right? Like,
Yeah.
again, they again, I like the idea that it was someone who was a real person and then dropped off the face of the earth, right? Like, and then just vanished after something traumatic happened, maybe. It is like I don't know, like maybe, again, like I like the idea of this magic walking stick, and then he became this sort of time-traveling prankster or something like that, trying to give a little bit more mystery back to the world.
Okay.
Yeah, you gotta pull the trigger and they just gotta find a real dude, right? Like you gotta
at a
do...
certain point, Waldo is a thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like the idea that the Act 3 is the adventures with them could be like, they know where it is, and it's like spring break or something, right? And so they're like, we're going to go to, Europe, and we're going to like do a little globe trotting to find, because we know he's going to be here.
So we've seen that, no. Or you know what you do, because it's the photos, right? They know that he shows up when she takes photos.
Oh, okay,
but only certain photos, only photos of a big crowd, right? Because he's not going to just pop up wherever. So they need to, there's some event that they've got to go to that we're like, he's not going to be able to resist showing
up.
up.
Like the Utah Color Festival.
So then your
whatever.
midpoint sequence is a sort of real life Where's Waldo, where they go to the big fall festival in town, and then she's taking photos, and then she's got to find Waldo in the photos to kind of draw, so that they can draw in and find him, essentially.
It's like a digital camera. It's like God, loading it now. It loads onto a screen. It's like, where is it? And they're all searching. The crowd's like, Sector 4, go.
Yeah, so it's like, I kind of like that as a midpoint sequence. It's a real life game of Where's Waldo, right? So it's like the big fall festival or something like that.
If they're in Utah or something, you do the Utah Festival of Colors, which is a gigantic. I mean, it's a cool.
So and then they would catch Waldo.
Yeah, they need to get him.
Or they would get like a clear photo of his face, or they would see him, or they'd be able to trace him or something like that. You know what I mean? So it's like, oh my gosh, like we found him. Now Act 4 would be like interview with the Waldo. I like the idea that she's a reporter, right? She finds the guy that she's looking for, and then she's gonna go to him for answers. She's gonna try to figure out who he is, right? And it's like the Joker, right? Where they're like, no ID, no wallet, nothing in his pockets, but gumdrops and and magic, right?
So I feel like then in that interview or whatever, again, like
she interviews the final thing now that she does this interview with the guy, and he tells her this ridiculous story, right?
Yeah.
Because again, like he has no ID. They find him, and then he agrees to do an interview with her or something like that. Or I don't know exactly how that beat of it worked, and he just shows up later, right? She sees him face to face is the end of Act 3. It's like, this is the guy, and then like
let's just say Waldo is indeed a time traveling magical wizard type person.
Sure.
Okay. That is real. That is what she finds out.
But again, like someone comes up to you and you sit down with them and you go, "Who are you? What are you doing?" And he says, "I'm a time traveling wizard person who jumps around from place to place to get people to believe in love." Like you don't fucking believe him necessarily. That's what I'm kind of talking about. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know what would be great? Oh my God, this is how you pop it off. She meets Waldo. Like it's this face to face, and then the interview would be like, he would say this, like, well, I was this guy, and then I was living this boring button down life, and I was just working all the time. I was this, you see him, Waldo in the 80s, like this scrunched up IT guy, right? And he was at work all the time, and then his beloved pet dog died, right? And while he wasn't there, and again, he didn't, he never had time for the dog, and it crushed him. And then he went on this journey, and this is what he tells her straight to her face. I met this mystical man who gave me a magic walking stick, and now I go from place to place, and I, try to keep, get people to live in the moment or whatever.
Sure, yeah.
And she's like, bullshit, that's a bunch of crazy stuff. You're just a guy who went nuts with grief, and now you're just a creepo. And he's like, come with me. And then you do Act 4, she grabs the walking stick, and they go fucking everywhere.
Yeah,
they go to ancient Rome. They go to the Renaissance. You have this incredible, again, this is where you do your Baraka Darren Aronofsky sequence. She goes on a magical flight with him. And then when not when she wakes up, this is like, now we're talking about like, maybe Waldo's another kid. Actually, that would be great. You do Waldo as another kid. He's not an old man.
I think that needs to be, so I was thinking the same thing, but that has to be sooner. So I know we have like no time, but I feel like, I don't think that's a Baraka sequence. Like if you want to talk about the ticking clock, if she has this deadline, she has this article she wants to do, she's doing this Where's Waldo about these losers. They see Waldo, her and Billy, whatever. Yeah. Amy and Billy are going to go find at the summer festival. They find Waldo. She runs up to him, and he tries to escape. She grabs him. They go to the future.
Yeah.
And they're like, where the hell are we? And now her and Billy are on this thing, and and every time they find Waldo, they grab him, and they take him somewhere else. He's literally taking them on this journey, and she's got to get back. She's like, I got this deadline. I got school. I got shit to do.
That's fantastic. That's really,
the journey.
really good.
And what you do is, whatever the emotional low point is, Waldo brings them back to their time.
By the way,
and Billy's like, oh my God, we went on this adventure. And she's like, who gives a shit? It's not real. We hallucinate. Or whatever. He's like, are you kidding me? And she writes that mean article.
Yep.
And that's the low point.
That's exactly what it is. So that's end of Act 2. Act 2 is she meets the Waldo Watchers. She's doing this whole thing. End of Act 2 is they catch.
Yeah, Act 3 is their journey trying to catch Waldo in all these different environments. Waldo's literally bringing them on a Doctor Who type adventure, and they're constantly trying to find, and again, it'd probably be she dislikes Billy. Billy has a crush on her. You do a little bit of their relationship.
Well, you also do the Waldo is basically if this is Twilight, he's the Edward, right? Like, because I would make him a teenager.
Yeah.
You would make him a kid, but he is this kid who he went to the school back in the 1920s or whatever, right? Like and then he's been on these charismatic magical adventures ever since. He's like Peter Pan.
Yeah.
5 minutes remaining.
All right. Act 1. She's a kid. She's fucking. She just got to high school. She's a freshman on the. She's the first freshman photog.
High school newspaper.
High school newspaper or yearbook.
Award-winning high school newspaper.
Award-winning high school newspaper. She's trying to impress people with her photos.
She's going to Harvard.
She's going to Harvard. You can make it yearbook too, by the way. But she's going to Harvard. She's like, I'm a serious kid. Everyone take me seriously. I'm not into kiddie crap anymore. I don't like My Little Pony. Whatever. She takes her photos and fucking Waldo keeps showing up in them. Act 2. She's trying to figure out what's going on. She finds this kid at school who's obsessed with Waldo.
Yeah.
And he's like, don't you realize Waldo's based on a real kid who went to this school back in the 20s? Like, that's fucking. She's like, that's fucking bullshit. Like, you're weird. He introduces her to the Waldo Watchers. They're like, oh my god, we gotta catch Waldo.
And he's like, be my friend, please. And she's like, yes, but she's really like, oh, you're a good story, you weirdo.
Yeah, I'm gonna do a story on this weirdo. So they, at the big fall festival at the school, they know it's a big crowd. Waldo's not gonna be able to resist Waldo's a photo bomber, right?
Yeah.
Like, so it's like he's not gonna be able to resist photo bombing this photo. So at the fall festival, they're taking pictures and then they're trying to catch Waldo. Sure enough, they see him and they get into a chase with him. And right as he's about to vanish, they grab onto his cane and boom, they wake up in ancient Rome.
Yeah.
Act 3, which normally we would break out into a lot more beats.
I think I have it.
Yes.
Okay, so yes, this is Odyssey type. You'd also do each adventure. They meet somebody in ancient Rome who teaches her about herself.
This would be honestly
you have these series of adventures.
That actually could be the pilot of a TV show. If you want to talk about a season of a Netflix show, the first episode would end, or like the end of the halfway point of the first episode would be they show up in ancient Rome, and now it's essentially they're in every week.
Yeah.
And again, maybe you make a movie, maybe you make a show. Every week they're in a new place, and they've got to solve some mystery to find Waldo.
Yeah.
And then they wind up in someplace new.
And then what I was gonna say is, rather than like she does this sad story and then you just do another act, it's very simple. The arc of the story has to be told in these adventures. We don't have time to do it. When you get back, they have no evidence this happened.
Act 3, she's on this adventure, essentially. And this is a long act of them. She's like, I got to get back home. And then, maybe she's taking photos. She's like, this is the most incredible story anyone's ever seen, right?
Act 4 is the consequence of this. She missed something. They've been gone for a week. As far as her parents are concerned, her and this boy, Billy, went off somewhere. Mm-hmm. She missed the deadline. She's furious. Billy's like, who cares? We had an incredible adventure. She's like, it wasn't real.
All the photos have vanished off of her phone.
Yes.
There's no evidence. It never happened.
Article. The ending is not that published. Like, Billy reads it. He's devastated. But what's she going to do? Write that they went on a crazy adventure?
Yeah.
And then sure enough, she goes and the newspaper comes out and the front page is her story saying, me and Billy went on a crazy adventure. Magic is real. And the school is laughing at her and whatnot, but she's fine. Her and Billy are friends. She taught this lesson. Like, she's okay with it. You do. And maybe some people believe it. Or they're just like, this is such a good story. And you know what she should be? A fiction writer. That's what she makes an incredible story. And the author's like, have you... And the newspaper, everybody's laughing at her, and then the newspaper guy comes up, he's like, hey, screw those kids. Have you ever thought about creative writing?
Yeah.
And
she switches over.
And she switches over, and she loves Matt. Yeah, and her and Billy are best friends.
And then when she looks outside, and she looks out of the window, and there's Waldo walking by, and he gives a wink, and then the bus blows by, and he disappears, and goes, wee. There it is.
It's definitely better than Sonic.
He's in the wind. I want Waldo in a body bag by sundown.
Forget it.
Yeah.
He's gone.
All right.
There it is.
Yeah. It's pretty good.
Yeah.
Story Break is brought to you by This American Life.
That was a good one, ladies and gentlemen. Real quick, as we wrap things up here, thanks again to everybody who's written reviews for us on iTunes. It really does help us out. And if you enjoy the sort of cinematic nonsense we spin up, our particular brand of it at least, head on over to iTunes and give Story Break a review.
And believe me, we do read these reviews.
This one.
They come out once every 5 days, and in the writer's room we're trying to write our feature, and pretty much every hour me and
Will
refresh to be like, hey, did somebody say anything about us?
Like this one from Phoenixter. I'll just read this real quick as a 5-star review, and he actually asked you a question, guys. Only weird thing I want to ask is, where did you guys get a 5-act structure? I've never seen anything more than 3 acts in movies. Please explain.
Little man named Shakespeare.
I'll take this one. Since I'm the one who's always stuffing everything into a 5-act structure. First of all, thanks for the review and the question. What's nice, Shakespeare does 5 acts. What's nice about 5 acts, and again, like I used to write things, I think Act 1, Act 2, Act 3.
Yeah.
It's a natural way of thinking because like, oh, there's the beginning, there's the middle, and the end. Kind of what I like about 5 acts is that, especially over the course of a movie, the beginning might be 20 minutes, the end might be 20 minutes. That's only 40 minutes of, potentially a 2-hour movie.
Yeah.
So then the middle becomes this vast wasteland, like this vast expanse of like where the... And then
I even hear it sometimes in our 5 acts. We'll be like, in the 3rd act, she does a bunch of stuff.
So what's nice about a 5-act structure is it gives you, like, you've got the beginning, the end of the beginning of the middle, the end of the middle, and then the end. So it gives you just a bit more structure to play around with in terms of like making sure that there's pivot points, that stuff is happening in your story.
And then you're making sure you have goalposts that you're trying to hit.
Goalposts that were, and then what's nice about each of those acts, it allows you to think of like this is a discrete unit of drama that is going to then turn and become a different type of drama in this next act.
Yeah, if you're going to think about the ending of each act being a climax of sorts, and it's nice because you have 5 climaxes, you have more stuff happening, and just more story.
It's just a slightly nicer way of structuring. You can totally do 3 acts, and again, like a lot of sitcoms do 3 acts. Like it's
there's a lot of ways of doing it too. Even like unscripted game shows will go out to like 8, 9 acts because it's just a way.
I mean, the feature we have on our board, we split up into 9 parts.
It's an arbitrary way of dividing things up, but it also gives you some goalposts that you can.
You just don't want to do 90 minutes of people just going, "Where's Waldo?" Like you gotta like.
I would look up again. It's only for a specific type of stories to a degree, but like look at. There's good explanations for the 5 acts that Shakespeare does, and it's a nice. It's as far as it's like a simple structure, it's easier to do than 3.
In any case, I think that was a good one here, folks. If you thought so, let us know. By the way, we have our Twitter at RJ Storybreak. Hit us up with story ideas. We got this one from Aced Option, so thank you, Aced. In any case, anything else to add, Will? I
would just say we've been loving all of the fan art, guys. Keep it up. Would love to see some Waldo fan art if you guys are so moved to create a Waldo poster. That'll get you a sick RT and a shout out.
Even if we don't necessarily respond, I do read. I love the different ideas people have, especially Sonic. Pretty much people just in the comments did better stories than we did. So I love hearing people's ideas for other endings and whatnot. It's just it's a good time.
Yeah, no, thank you again, everybody, for listening, and we will hear you /see you next week. Bye, everybody.
Bye, guys.